Welcome to the first edition of Memphis Monday Morning. New series I'm starting. One of the problem with my videos is that they come out kind of randomly and sometimes seem a little rushed and so forth and so on. I'm changing the format up, and I'm just going to release video every Monday. I'll release it upload it to YouTube. You know, it takes, on my connection, it takes several hours. So I'll release it, beginning in the night, and then it'll be ready, fresh, and ready to go on Monday morning. So if this format doesn't work, I'll try something else. Okay, today we're going to continue working on the Treadle sewing machine. Got some repairs and some more finishing to do, and so I hope you enjoy it. What I've decided to do is take these, I've got 8 parts here on the treadle, cast iron base that I need to finish, and to kind of break it up a little bit, I'm taking them one at a time. This is the Treadle Push Rod. Remember, I was telling you this is the piece that I couldn't tell. I didn't even notice that it was made out of wood until I took the thing apart. It was completely covered with oil. You know, as they oiled the various moving parts, the oil coated this piece, and I just scraped off all the oil. I'm not going to stain it because the oil has already stained it, and I'm not going to finish it with shellac. I'm going to use varnish. I'm okay with that because they had varnish back in the day, and if they were going to use varnish on anything, I think it would be this part. So I'm going to put a few coats of varnish on it, and it should look pretty good. I think it's actually mahogany. It's some kind of exotic wood. You know, you can't tell on sometimes on this. I mean, I can hardly tell different woods apart anyway, but it's not oak and it's not poplar. What I'll do is just put on this coat, and then I'll let it dry. I actually have to let it dry for about 24 hours because this varnish takes a long time to dry. But I think it's going to look good. I'll let it dry and then sand it down with some 1200 grit and put another coat on. Just wanted to tell you that, but anyway, I'm real excited about the way this push rod turned out. So much so, as a matter of fact, that I went ahead and used varnish on all the pieces. I'll show you that later. I also want to show you how to make that, make the surface perfectly smooth and all that business. But I've got to let this varnish dry probably for a couple of days to really get it fully cured. Let's go over and take a look at the main frame parts. I got those, you saw me working on those. I got them all sanded and painted. Okay, I have 2 more repair fixes that I need to work on. Let me go through those with you. The first repair I want to show you is the caster wheels. This is kind of interesting. I couldn't tell if these had feet on them or sliders or what they had. I checked it out on the internet. I couldn't find any of this brand, but I did notice that some of the old Sears brands had, at least some of the old Sears, some of the others too, had real small 1¼ inch casters installed down here on the frame. So anyway, let me show you how I installed these wheels. This is my new anvil. Fella gave me this, and I said, you know, man, this is pretty expensive if you want to buy something like this, and he gave it to me anyway. So what I'm doing here is I'm making a pin for the caster. Okay, let's go over and look at the... Here you can see the old pin. I had the leg itself, the legs only had 1 pin remaining. All the rest of them are gone. Here's the pin I made. I just made it out of a nail. How these work on old casters and even on modern casters, the axle goes through and it's pinged on this one end, and it's a tight fit, and then what you do is you just ping it at the other end. You hold a weight against this end, and then you ping this end, and that keeps it from coming through. Here are the little casters I recruited for the project. Probably very similar to the ones that were used back in the day, except that the ones back in the day were probably made out of pot metal or cast iron, but of course they're very hard to find these days. Okay, how this works is the pin goes through, and actually the harder it goes through, the better. Now on this side, that has come out. Now, to ping something, you need to put something nice and heavy against it so that you're resisting that mass. I hope I'm not blocking anything, but then you just tap it. You really only need to ping it enough not so it'll bend, but so that it won't come out. And so these will work until I find some period. To understand this next fix, we need to understand how this worktop works. These little dogs right here, I think they're even called dogs, these little silver things, or pot metal things, they go in the back of the sewing machine head, and then the sewing machine fits down in this rabbet. And then when you want to lower the sewing machine, you lift this up, lift this front part up, and then this thing drops down. Well, you can see you don't want it to drop all the way down. So you don't want to let it fall in an uncontrolled way through there. So it has to have something to stop it. So let me show you now. Let me show you now the cover and how we discovered this fix. Is some damage. This is some damage on the cover on this laminate here. It's been pushed out. It's been damaged from the inside. Something hit this case. You'd expect, if you found damage on this case, that it would be pressed in, not out. Something's hit this case from the inside. Now, what could have caused that damage? Let's look at the sewing machine. Looking at the sewing machine, on this side, away from the front, we should find where the dogs go in. There's a hole for the left dog and the right dog. Okay? So there should be, this thing was let down and it fell out of the dogs and it smashed the dent in the cover. Provided there's something on the other side that could have caused that damage. And sure enough, there it is. Now, I don't know what that is, but that is what caused the damage. So, we found the damage. We know that the sewing machine fell off the dogs and crashed into this cover. Now we need to ask, how in the heck did that happen? Let's look on the inside of the cover and see if we can see anything broken. And sure enough, we do. See in that back corner right there? I'll zoom in. See that little block of wood? That is the stop, so that when you let down the sewing machine, it'll come rest against that stock. Now let's look on the other side. Bingo, it's missing. So there's our problem. The stop failed, and when the stop failed, it let the head fall too far and it smashed into the cover. Now we need to fix that stop. Okay, to fix the stop, I've cut this little piece of wood that's the exact brother to the other one, and I'll be attaching it right there. Okay, this brings up the question, how do I attach it? Glue, I'll use glue, of course, but you know, this thing's going to take quite a bit of beating. The head of the sewing machine is going to be banging against it. So what else do I use? What is period friendly? Let me show you. Here's a close-up of the other one. You notice just to the right center of the piece, you can see that little dot, that's a brad. So these things were nailed in from the inside. Let's take a look at some other evidence on the other side. Okay, here's some more evidence right here. You notice there's two nail holes, one there and one there. So they were definitely nailed in, and they were nailed in from the inside. One of the ways we can tell is if I turn this over now and we take a look at the outside, there would be nail holes somewhere right in there. and there's no nail holes. Okay, so all we got to do is nail and glue that new piece in place, and we'll have her made. Well, that about wraps up the first edition of Memphis Monday Morning. I hope you enjoyed it. Just as well, we got those repairs done because now we're back to sanding. We should, next week, we should surely have this restoration project finished, and we'll be getting started on another one. So, we'll see you next week, and don't forget about me, Monday morning.